Welcome to another edition of River City Hardball presented by our friends at DBAT Jacksonville. I'm your host, Andrew Gibson, and it's always a pleasure to welcome in my friend Zack Phillips, owner-operator at DBAT Jacksonville. And Austin Eppley from the Episcopal School of Jacksonville joins us this morning. Austin trains at DBAT. He's got an exciting upcoming senior year at Episcopal this year. Guys, thanks for joining us. Zack, good morning, man. Thanks so much again for jumping on with us this morning.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Hey, tell me about Austin Eppley.
Yeah, man. So I've known Austin now probably since right at the end of summer. Kind of when we first met, he came in. I got a couple other guys that I do some stuff with at Episcopal. I think they might have kind of just kept nudging him a little bit to maybe come check us out and get in the cage a little bit. And it's been a blast ever since. I actually I saw Austin play a little bit last year when I went out and saw my other Episcopal guys. And, I pretty much with the entire lineup of both sides of the school, someone comes up to bat, I kind of start making my, it's like my mental notes, whether or not I'm ever going to work with them or not. But I kind of already had a little, Austin could probably even touch on it too, but a little early assumption of, the type of hitter that I kind of saw when I watched him hit. So we just kind of started from there. I will say this, when first time I saw him in DBAT, I was definitely still thinking of the Austin that I saw last year playing. And then I saw a kid come in and I was like, well, you're easily about, 20, 25, 30 pounds heavier than you were the last time I saw you. So, we're going to work on some things that are going to work for a 205, 210 pound kid. So I was excited.
And tell me about why you like training at DBAT. What appealed to you to come over there and train at DBAT?
Just having everybody like the Episcopal kids at DBAT with Zack, it appealed to me that way. And then I can go there anytime, any place, wherever I want and get work in, especially out of town during tournaments. And I've just heard about DBAT from a lot of different people, and I've heard good things. So that's why.
Austin, you've got a senior year upcoming this year at Episcopal. Tell us about your game. You're playing at third base over there for Coach Jones.
Yes, sir. I'll probably hit second this year, playing third. But, yeah, that's really it.
Zack, what kind of strides have you seen from Austin? As far as the first time you saw him in DBAT, where has he grown from maybe then till now?
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess even kind of fast forwarding what I was saying before, and some of this was just me making assumptions, kind of in my own little, hitter vault. But what I saw initially with Austin was, I don't want to say not confident because, he could totally say differently when I saw him last year playing. I guess the best way to describe it was I saw a hitter who was very, very content with his best swing and his best result being, a ground ball single. And before I even touch on that, I don't want anyone to think that I'm against hitting a ground ball and getting a base hit. Baseball enough is hard to do. Getting base hits is hard to do. But I even take from my playing career as I got older, kind of coming out of high school, definitely getting into college, I definitely had a good group of coaches that started to explain to me hey, there's nothing wrong with getting that, up the middle or that kind of CNI single, but let's not be content with that. Let's strive to make, our best swing, our best result, an extra base hit, or at least something, where we're doing, some serious damage or making loud contact. And that was just kind of something early and often that I wanted to deliver to Austin. It was like, hey, this is kind of what I saw. You can tell me if I'm, stepping over that boundary based on what you thought. But, when we first started, what I started to see was man, I mean, now, there's some, I don't know exactly what they are, but maybe some administration buildings that are a good 30, 40 feet behind the right center field fence. And it's every time Austin comes in for another session, it's yeah, man, I put another 3, on the building that's, 400 feet away. And like I said, man, I mean, we can't be up there trying to hit bombs and swing for the fences every time. But, I just wanted to try to instill that confidence in him a little bit more of like, hey, man, you can be a big time swinger. Let's get up there and let's just have the mindset of let's do more damage. Let's make our best swing, a double in the gap or a triple. Austin being a bigger boy, bigger kid, he does have some good speed. And kind of one of the things I told him early and often, and it's something the coach told me, and it's just something that I wanted him to think about. It's from a pitcher and a hitter standpoint, you're arguably one of the most competitive things in sports. I mean, it's mano a mano for, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pitches. And at least in my belief, I'm pretty confident in this that pitchers throw, 90%, maybe even more of their pitches with the intent to get the batter to hit the ball on the ground. So what I tried to instill in Austin is if it's our goal as a hitter to hit the ball on the ground, I just don't see how that matches. When it's one-on-one, how do we have the same goals? Again, that does not mean we get jammed, man, we get one through, or, we get that fastball down the middle and we lace one back at his shins up the middle for a base hit. That's awesome. They're hard to get, so we'll take them. But I just wanted to flip his mindset a little bit of, let's try to drive the ball a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more damage. And he's another one. I spoke on it with Hunter. You definitely know. He was actually – Austin was in here. Austin went to see I think it was last Thursday night, and kind of opened up all the cages. And Gibby, you were here for a little bit actually in the beginning, but you should have seen it, man, as we were doing live. Man, there's just guys walking by and they're hanging on the fences. They're just watching him hit a little bit. I was hopeful that he didn't catch him out of the peripheral vision. I didn't want him to get all nervous that he had about 5-10 people back there. Just wanted to kind of glance over and watch him hit.
Mm-hmm. Love that attention for sure. Austin, you gained like 30 pounds over this past summer. Tell me about that. Was that like an effort to make it that happen, or what happened there?
So one of the biggest things for me was getting in the weight room, obviously, but it was more of like making it consistent. So I really devoted my time to try to work, get stronger, and obviously put on a few pounds. But that's something that my college coach talked to me about when I was down there, is putting on a few pounds. And that's what I kind of devoted my time to this fall and summer, was working out and putting on muscle.
So what were you doing, like deadlifts, bench press? What are you doing in the gym?
Usually, so I work out at Torque for I think up until a year. And I stopped in October to get ready for the season, but I worked out there and they had me do a bunch of fast movements. It's all about getting the weight up as fast as you can. And, but squats, split squats, RDLs, dumbbell bench, all that stuff.
Love that.
He was just listening to his dad, Gibby. For those of you who don't know, man, Mr. Eppley is one intimidating gentleman. That is a big guy.
Yeah. Does your dad push you a lot?
Yeah, so he taught me what it takes to get to the next level and work hard, and that's what he's instilled in me.
Austin, how did you find baseball? How did baseball become your sport?
My mom played softball and my dad played baseball, and after baseball he played slow pitch softball professionally. But and my grandpa, obviously, he played slow pitch softball too. But my dad taught me from an early age, and playing t-ball, my mom and dad both coached me. So that was the start of it.
Zach, we were talking there about his development in his body. I mean, what have you seen from that standpoint? I mean, here's a guy that maybe you looked a little bit skinny last year, but now he's bulked up.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, that's the way it's going. I mean, when I was, 12-ish, 15-ish years ago, when I was playing, kind of around Austin's age, it wasn't something that was talked about. I mean, of course we worked out and we were lifting, but you were never were never – it just wasn't really out. You weren't being necessarily taught, like, how much your body actually affects what we're doing out on the field. And, you know, it's a big part of it now. Not only just physically where we're at, but just how the body moves within the swing. And like I said, that was something that we – you know, like, you know, I've mentioned it before on here, but, you know, we've got some data tools here. So we kind of, when Austin came in, we got those on, and we saw, based on his 6'2", 205, 210 frame, we saw some movements along with some data feedback that just didn't match with that size. And again, that's what I told Austin, I was like, hey, listen, man, we get a couple of these, like, that's not a bad thing. But the way I kind of look at it is, I'm seeing a lot of numbers that are more around what a, you know, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", 160-pound kid, you know, should be doing. You know, just obviously not as big of a kid, not as strong as a kid. You know, we do want to try to flight the ball down a little bit lower, use our speed, use our quickness. So like I said, I mean, when he walked in here day one, about, you know, really hasn't been that, seems like it's been forever, because, you know, Austin's kind of touched on it just with the dedication. But since that first lesson, man, we've seen each other, you know, what feels like about 100 times, but we've really been able to progress a lot in a short period, you know, due to that dedication and due to him staying on top of it, wanting to get in here. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we should definitely hit for a little bit more power. I don't expect anything, you know, there shouldn't be an average drop or anything like that, but our slugging and our power numbers should definitely be up. And I know, especially where he's going to play next year, at College of Central Florida, that coach is very, very up and up with that kind of stuff, and very, very up with the data and the tools that are out there to track those, you know, those metrics. But, you know, and that's my job. I want more than anything for Austin to go out and have a great senior year, as does he. But in my profession, what we have to do is, you know, we're still looking at that next level. Like, if I'm just doing things to ensure that he goes out and has a good senior year of high school, like, I'm not doing my job to the fullest as far as helping him, you know, be prepared for the next year, the next coming years, you know, of college baseball.
A final minute or two left here with Zack Phillips of DBAT Jacksonville, Austin Eppley, a rising senior at the Episcopal School of Jacksonville. Austin, you touched on this a moment ago, your college opportunity, the College of Central Florida. Tell us about that.
Yep. So my dad is actually friends with Marty Smith, the head coach there. So they played high school baseball together. He's from Jacksonville, played at Terry Parker. And I went down there for a workout, I guess. And, you know, talking to Coach Marty, I loved him. He's big on development, and that's why I loved it. You know, I'm a big believer in develop it, or can we restart that? Sorry.
That's all right. Just keep going, man.
All right. I'm a firm believer in, like, development process, and that's what I've devoted my time to, especially in the fall and the summer. And I loved it there.
Awesome. Tell me about your senior year coming up. Episcopal's got a very talented team. We just had Hunter Russell on, one of your teammates, a few weeks ago. Coach Jones has done a great job there. Tell us about what's coming up on that senior year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, we should have a pretty good offense. We have 4 commits right now, waiting on the 5th, hopefully. But, yeah, we should be hitting the ball pretty well, and pitching. We'll have a lot of guys that haven't necessarily pitched their life. Like, I'm going to pitch this year, and a few others that haven't pitched recently. But, you know, we should be able to compete and play well together, and I'm excited.
Now, your primary position there in high school is third base, but are they going to transition you to first base in college?
That's what I'm thinking. Probably play first. I can play third if he needs me to, but I'm thinking probably first.
Now, have there been any discussions about you pitching in college, or is that something that's probably going to stay in high school?
That will stay in high school.
All right. Well, guys, last thing, Austin, what maybe a couple of things that you've learned since you've been training at DBAT? Where have you you may be taking some notes mentally that you're going to take to the field learning at DBAT?
Not being happy with a ground ball, especially, I'm not going to beat out any infield singles, but trying to get the ball in the air to the outfield and do my job is especially what I've learned.
Last thing here, Zach, just to wrap things up with Austin, what are some things that you're looking forward with Austin as he goes from high school to college that you guys are going to continue to work on with him?
I mean, like I said, man, just to keep the growth. I've seen tremendous uptick in how he's approaching, his at bats and his swings, and he touched on it with Marty Smith down at school there in Ocala. He's a very been in the books type, JUCO coach. I mean, it's a great program. I mean, the Patriots, gosh, I think last year, they're top 10, top 15 every year at the JUCO level. So, I mean, Austin's going to have his hands full. I mean, he's going to have to go down there and fight for everything that he gets on the field. But, the JUCO route's it's a great route. It's a good time to get out there and play early. I would probably say as Austin and I continue to work together, we'll probably hit this really, really hard kind of towards the end of his high school season, more summertime getting into school is we'll dive even more onto the approach side. High school pitching has definitely become, it's a lot better than when I was, playing. There's some boys out there throwing absolute gas nowadays, but there's still a lot of pitchers that, they're pretty predictable in what they're going to throw. They're not as consistent. So you can, as a hitter, you can be in good counts and just expect, hard and fast and do the damage. You get to college, you get to count to 2-0. High school, 90% of the time you're getting that 2-0 fastball. College, no, you're getting the 2-0 slider, backdoor, 2-0 curveball, 12-6, change up. So we'll probably talk a lot about the approach side, doing a little bit better, or not necessarily better, but improving on the scouting, and just trying to become a more well-rounded chess player when it comes to the approach that it will take to college. That's probably the biggest thing that affected me, high school to college, was I was a pretty free swinger. When I got to college, I got in those 2-0 counts, man. A lot of pitchers made me look goofy, but I was expecting one pitch and they had an arsenal of pitches. So, but that'll probably be the biggest thing that we continue to look to improve on, from high school to college.
Austin, are you going to hit some bombs at Episcopal this year? Are we going to see that from you?
Better.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Austin Eppley from the Episcopal School of Jacksonville. Zack Phillips, owner-operator of DBAT Jacksonville. Guys, thanks so much for the time this morning.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.